Welcome to the Reformasi Dispatch podcast. I'm Kevin O'Rourke with EC, otherwise known as Aaron Cook, and we're coming to you on 17 May at 5 p.m. Chicago time using the power of television, otherwise known as YouTube. So, hey there, EC.
Close 19 July, but close.
That's all right. I uttered a complete sentence, so it's grammatically correct. That's the important thing.
That's it. We'll get there.
The facts, the figures, the months. I don't even know what I said.
It all comes out in the wash.
I maintain that I said 19 July, and there's no way to prove otherwise.
That's it. Onwards and upwards. Yeah, how you going? What have you been watching this week?
Nobody press rewind.
Yeah.
I've been watching the AGO saga, although I think we need a better title for it.
Sure, we need a gold pun, I think. Something gold.
Yeah, maybe our readers can send a suggestion to our email address or find us on YouTube below the show notes.
Yes. That's good. That was well played.
Yeah, we're at contact@reformasi.info actually, and always great to hear from our listeners. And you can also find us on Buy Me a Coffee. We appreciate all the contributions that come in to keep things going. But no, I still don't have a new title for the AGO saga. Something to do with Goldfinger, but they found 7 suitcases of gold in the closet of the Deputy Attorney General for Special Crimes, Jampidsus. It's Febrie Adriansyah. And that's been quite the saga for the past 10 days or so.
Yeah, the photos are incredible. I thought you had a good line about it in your newsletter where they investigators found 74 kilograms of gold, which is remarkable when you think about there's 50 kilos of gold in Monash. So he's outpacing Sukarno at this rate. So that's pretty tough to do, but well done.
Yeah, that is impressive. I was kind of disappointed. I always thought Monash was more special than that. That's actually not much gold in that.
For something that big, yeah.
Yeah. I think 74 kilograms of gold is worth about $10 million, which sounds like a lot, but this guy actually had quite a lot more in cash on hand in his house and in the Café du Clan, which is a place that he ran in Chipete, although he denies that. He had a manager who got arrested too. So this is basically a battle between the AGO and the police, but the AGO have the backing of the army, so it's really a battle between the army and the police. And each of those security organs have their own allies in the inner circle of the president. That's Defense Minister Safri Samsudeen and Garindra Executive Chair and Vice Speaker of Parliament Sufmi Dasko Ahmad, respectively. And
I think we're starting to we might start needing the cork boards and red string soon for the Polri TNI story.
Yeah, you can, but yeah, actually you can also just cut to the chase and boil it down, and it's the same story as everything else. The army wins, so that's I think that's what's happening.
When you split it like that, it has made me sort of think. We actually haven't seen too much of Dasko in the last few months. He was, of course, sort of right-hand man from before inauguration, but he was very, very prominent in the first year or so of Prabowo's term. Why has he dropped off a little bit and Sir Jaffrey's become more prominent? Is that an indication of where Prabowo is leading?
Well, I mean, I would challenge the premise to the question that Prabowo is leading, but it's like a kaleidoscope when you look at the figures around the president, and it's their respective stature is changing constantly. So from one month to the next, there's going to be a different ranking of who has more influence. That's sort of what it seems like from the outside.
imperial court sort of dramas, isn't it? Just trying to work out who's on top and which faction's winning based on, who's standing next to where.
Yeah, yeah, it's Louis XIV. Yeah, it was a book called Suharto's Indonesia's Last Sultan, written in the 1990s. But yeah, so that title is passé by now because it wasn't the last one. But yeah, so Dasco is still very important to Prabowo. He does handle all of Prabowo's political chores, managing the alliance of parties, and that's particularly important with the elections now approaching, as we talked about in the last episode. They're still a few years away, as per the schedule anyway. But
Yeah.
in order to secure Prabowo, they have to do a lot of work right now to fix the
Get that
regulations.
lined up. Yeah.
Plus, Dasco's also important in Parliament and getting any legislation through that, other legislation that the president may want. And he was prominent when the students came out in
Mm.
June. He actually met with them, and that really diffused the situation. So that is the one thing that Dasco is willing to do. He's willing to show flexibility anyway and talk with whoever needs to be talked with and say whatever needs to be said, basically,
Yep, yep.
which sets him apart from most people in the administration.
So where does that put Sir Jeffrey? So he's already in a very prominent position as defense minister, and he's of course been like a long-term, I don't know, colleague, I suppose, of Prabowo. Is he increasingly influential and powerful in his own right, or is this sort of just reflective of the importance of that portfolio?
No, yeah, he's a war buddy basically of Prabowo. I mean,
Mm.
they served together in East Timor in the 80s, since the early 80s, and so he's really in a unique position vis-a-vis Prabowo, I think. He's even closer than the other army figures around Prabowo, which are Glennie Kairupan, Luhut Panjaitan, and
Mm.
former President SBY, because Safri and Prabowo were really, um, I guess, in the trenches is the figurative term, but they didn't actually have trenches
Bit on the
anymore.
nose.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was counter-insurrectionism, so they used helicopters. But yeah, anyway, um, and sure enough, it really seems like Safri has the upper hand because of the way that Febrie Adriansyah has been treated. Uh, Tempo had a lot of reporting about how Safri intervened and persuaded the president to allow the
Mm.
prosecution of Febrie to take place in the AGO, his own institution, where everybody there is his underling because he was the key person. And instead of using the KPK, which has its own prosecutorial powers and would have made a lot more sense in
Could
this
have really
case.
gone, yeah. Well,
And
this is
sure enough,
interesting because
and the AGO has not detained Febrie.
so February was he was a suspect, but then he became a witness, and then people were so annoyed and rightly outraged by that, he then became a suspect again.
Well,
What
actually, what happened is he became a suspect, then he became a witness, then he became a suspect, then he became a witness, and then he became a suspect. So just for the
Oh,
record,
just another loop in there.
yeah, there's a
What
whole other loop. Yeah.
what's that about? Is that sort of the tug of how I don't know, whether he's actually in trouble or not?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. The police named him a suspect and wanted to arrest him, but and the army was providing physical protection for Febri at his home as well as the AGO headquarters building. It was very tense, you know. The police were carrying assault rifles and helmets, and it
Yeah,
was
yeah, it was the real
parapolice,
deal.
all the equipment, and the army deployed numerous soldiers. I don't know how many, but everybody was geared up on both sides, so it was tense. And there was apparently a confrontation between two one-star army generals at Jakarta Police Headquarters on 9 July uh, at 3 a.m. So 3 in the morning. So
Oh,
yeah, it was really quite a dramatic saga, and yeah, then the police at that time raided this home of Febri and Sentul on the golf course, and depot, Bogor, and discovered 476 billion rupiah in various
Jesus,
forms of
goodness.
currency. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then the 7 suitcases full of gold bars. But that, I mean, yeah, anytime you go into somebody's house and look in the closet, you're probably gonna find 7 suitcases of
Of
gold
course.
bars. So
So we've got the Polari TNI business. Beyond that, what's the actual case against February? He's got this. What are they saying? Why did they go into his house to begin with? And what's the story about having this sort of hoarding?
yeah, well, yeah, it's, yeah, my understanding is that, the wealth seized so far is the tip of the iceberg. So, he has been,
Wow.
influential for, this entire decade, as,
Mm.
Jamtitsus, which is the key post under the attorney general, and the attorney general himself is, Burhanuddin, and he's, kind of a, he's not assertive and not too prominent or powerful politically, kind of a figurehead. So it's really, Febrie's been running the show there, and he has, been at the atop. He's been atop a host of major cases in that role and his previous role as, director for prosecutions,
Come
in
on.
that same, department. And so basically, I think what's been happening is that, yeah, there's been transactions, in exchange for, uh, letting suspects or witnesses off the hook. So
Yeah.
there was a guy named, Robert Bono Susatya, RBS, who was involved in the tin mining scandal from 2024, and the police wanted to pursue him very much. And there were rumors at that time that he paid, 2 trillion rupiah to obtain
Ah,
freedom, to
interesting. Yeah.
avoid indictment. Another one is, Tan Kian, and that was, earlier in the Asabri, the, military pension fund embezzlement that affected Hero Hidayat and Beni Chokro. And, Tan Kian was the one who got away. The other two are in prison for life. And it's amazing, like, that was the embezzlement of 23 trillion rupiah from the pension fund of the armed forces. And, now the defense minister is in league with the prosecutor who allegedly allowed one of the key perpetrators to go free. And they also seized the home of Hero Hidayat in Hang Tuah in South Jakarta,
Yeah,
and used
yep.
quarters for the PKH, the Forest Permit Task Force, which the police also wanted to raid and conduct a search of, and Safri managed to, stop that.
Talk about that. Yeah. See, that's what gets me. There's sort of like a more little legs coming off here that haven't been explored deeper. Would you expect to see other big names get swept up in this, or are they going to try to isolate this from everybody? Because if I was
No,
a certain defense minister, I might be worried. Like,
it's all over now. It's all over now.
yeah, done.
This is already the post game wrap. Yeah, I don't
Yep.
think there's going to be, anything else that comes forth from this. I think the AGO will conduct an investigation of February and find out that there's not enough evidence to substantiate the allegations, and,
Yep.
he'll be able to retire on the golf course in Central.
That's it. Hang out in a Chipotle cafe for a while. Sounds
Yeah,
not bad, really. Yeah.
yeah. That used to be, Don Francherie, which is, one of my favorites, but, they changed the name to Cafe de Clan, and, so that's run
Always
by a
does
guy named.
something.
Yeah, the guy who runs that is named Don Rito. As if this thing doesn't already sound like The Sopranos to begin with. Like, I don't own that cafe. It's run by my friend Don Rito. So,
Oh, that's
yeah,
excellent. Have you been following? Is the Public Works Minister Dodi Hangodo? That one's not quite as funny. Is that more our straight down the line minister getting up to mm, spending money where he maybe shouldn't be spending money?
yeah. Well, I mean, basically, yeah. If, in a few hours from now, from when we're recording, I'm going to be eagerly, watching the World Cup final, because, I'm really keen to see the Public
Spot
Works
him in the
Minister.
audience.
And Spain. So I like watching Spain play football too. But they're finding the Indonesian Public Works Minister in the crowd is going to be great. Uh,
Where's Dodi? Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunately, there's gonna be 80,000 people there, so I guess the odds of the camera focusing on him are.
So it should be him, his daughter, and his wife. Is that the
Yeah.
story? That his daughter and his wife have so he's ostensibly over there for a UN sanctioned meeting, so sort of one of the lesser ones, isn't it? Sustainability or something that is more
Yeah. Urban sustainability. Yeah.
yeah, a bit of a talk fest. But he's taken his wife and his daughter with him, and it just happens to coincide with the World Cup final, which is very lucky.
Yeah. So that's bad enough as it is, right? But then uh, uh, what happened is that that information leaked, and it was embarrassing because Prabowo was on a big drive to cut unnecessary travel and wasteful
Yeah, absolutely.
spending, and nobody in the government can spend money on anything anymore. But here, the minister, who, by the way, used to be a commissioner of the Jonlin Group of Haji Isam, um, is able to take his whole family to go see Spain, Argentina, and so that when that news leaks, then what happened is that Dodi Hangoro carried out a pogrom, purged his department to find the perpetrator of the betrayal. And he assigned the Secretary General of the ministry to discover the mole who leaked the travel directives to the public. And then when the Secretary General failed to do it, then the minister decided that he would be the Secretary General, the most powerful person in the ministry after the minister, would be demoted to regular staff and transferred to Papua, which
Oh god.
yeah, which
That's,
it just shows you what they think of Papua, if nothing else.
yeah, that's true, that it's yeah, maybe eventually it'd become Nusantara. They'll send you out that way. But I find the leak itself is really interesting because you know more about this than I do, but my understanding is that the public works ministry is quite technocratic, sort of the workers within that are very unpolitical. So a leak out of there would be very much uh there's wrongdoing happening here and we need to blow the whistle. Is that fair to say?
Um, yeah, I don't know how that works actually. Yeah, it's possible. I mean, um, I think this is fairly de rigueur. It's just more that it comes in, runs counter to the
Mm.
messages of the president about being abstemious and having austerity and managing government nowadays.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Uh, and
So
yeah, it's not the only scandal and controversy around Hangoto lately either. Yeah, there's been allegations of nepotism in the
mm,
appointment of officials, although he denies that adamantly. So supposedly there's a nephew that he put into a plum job in the ministry with no real background that's pertinent, and he angrily came out and demanded that people prove that that person was his nephew because he denied it. And that could be one of those things where he's actually right and they're wrong. so,
yeah, yeah.
so the
Well,
other, just on the topic of Johnland is that they've got a ammo factory now in Batulichin. So this is a partnership with Pindad, the state arms manufacturer. And Batulichin is a little town in South Kalimantan that Haji Isam really dominates. He's got his own estate and the corporate headquarters. He has his own personal zoo in this little town as well, and Tanabumbu district.
yeah, because he's from out that way, isn't he? Is that right?
Yeah,
He's from some yeah, yeah, yeah. It's his
in
stomping ground.
Batulichin. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a little town, and he's got his own airport, or there's a district airport that he uses. Anyway, so Safri showed up at the officiating ceremony for the groundbreaking for the construction of this ammunition factory. It's going to make bullets, the NATO standard. And so the vice military chief and the vice army chief were there, along with the head of Pindad and Haji Isam. So it's I thought that was interesting because it just kind of shows who in the military showed up. And
Yeah.
it was not the military chief, it was not the army chief, but it was the defense minister, and it was the vice military chief and the vice army chief, because the army chief and the military chief and the police chief and the attorney general are all Widodo appointees, whereas
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, the vice military chief and the vice army chief are more ideologically gung ho about Prabowism. So,
Yep. Oh, interesting. So would that have been a sort of a snubbing of the higher ups, or uh, just these guys are more interested, we'll take them?
um, yeah, I mean that's uh, yeah, these are the appointments that have happened since Widodo, so those are new figures put in,
These are their
and
guys. Yep.
yeah, I suspect if you're at a high level of the military or the army, you have to deal with the vice chief as much or more so than the real chief nowadays.
Mm.
But I don't know. It's just a guess.
Yeah. Ugh. That's interesting. Well, speaking of Papua, have you been following much of the I don't know, increasing news out of Papua in the last few weeks? There was the killing of the American pilot just a few days after we spoke last time,
Well,
which just really seems to have escalated things. So, yeah, Nicholas Gosselin, he was
hmm,
gunned down at the start of the month by TPNPB. They said he'd been warned repeatedly and had been flying in um, TNI service people. That's been denied. The government said he was flying Papuan civilians, but I don't know. It's
huh,
still so hazy, isn't it? Like you never know what can be trusted out of
yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah, exactly. It's a real distortion of news on both
Yeah.
sides, and not reporting on the ground, and the place is so remote that yeah, it's always difficult to ascertain the reality. But there was a New Zealand pilot killed, and then the other one who was taken into custody, taken as
For
hostage for a
yeah,
year and a half.
year and a bit, a long yeah. So I think that's a very bloody dangerous job. And so the flight that Gosselin, the service that Gosselin was flying for is operated by the Catholic Church out there, and I know that there's sort of escalating concerns from the church there about what's going on. So it just feels like this is really heading upwards towards a
Right.
I don't know, a scary point.
Yeah, put the church in an awkward position if it is true that these flights were transporting military personnel, because
Yeah.
then people can ask, why is the church doing that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Big time.
So, yeah, after this happened, I don't know if it's coincidence or if this was already scheduled. I suspect it must have been scheduled, but the Broad Alliance, FUKRI, of all the different church groups in the country, put out a very sternly worded statement calling for attention to humanitarian conditions in Papua. And so that was notable. That's they
Yeah.
do that from time to time, but it's not so common. So that's the kind of thing that really g- grabs some attention, basically. And they pointed out that there's been 56 deaths, 59, 59 deaths so far this year. So 8 among the TNPPB, 8 among the military, and 43 among civilians, including on July 2nd, there was a expecting mother killed.
That's
Fire.
that's it. It just seems like it's really coming home to a lot of communities far more than it has been in the last few years, which is just
Yeah,
so
yeah, I think that's
horrible.
right. Yeah, the government's own, so quasi-independent National Commission on Human Rights, Komnas Ham, said that there are more than 100,000 refugees in Papua.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. What do you think? Because this has been escalating under Prabowo's watch. There have been a lot of statements. No other country is going to say anything because nobody wants to get on the wrong side of Prabowo on this. Where does this go? Is this just going to continue simmering away? Because this is certainly
Well,
worse I've seen it, but it's not the first time it's gotten bad.
yeah, I'm refraining from making a wisecrack about foreign meddling, but yeah, but this because when there was a question in the presidential debates with Ganjar and Anis and Prabowo about Papua, Prabowo's instinct, his immediate answer was to pledge more military involvement and blame foreign meddling for the situation. and
which is
as
precisely
president,
what he would have seen in Timor while he was
yeah,
serving there. That's
yeah, and as president, that's what has happened. There's been a ramp up of military presence um, and nationwide, of course, not just Papua, but especially in Papua, and also denunciations of foreign meddling, even though there's just virtually no foreign involvement of any sort in Papua anymore. Even Freeport is nationalized. So
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It really worries me because it's so hard to get news out of there and it's so hard to get reliable news and God knows what's actually going on in the ground. And that's really, really scary to think that uh, we're just getting, a portion of what's happening.
yeah, yeah, that's right. And yeah, and it doesn't help the military either, for that matter. I mean, if
Yeah.
there's other priorities that the military should be focusing on, and this is just a huge drain on their
True. Very true.
energy, finances, and resources. A lot of the soldiers have come back from Papua with malaria, and that's a
Oh,
big problem for the army
y-
too.
yeah, definitely.
Um, so what else you and our producer Stephen Mendoko were talking about some
Yes. Stephen
prejudice
and
of
I were
women.
this is yeah, it's been an awful couple of weeks for very, very high profile social media sort of led attacks on trans women, which is sadly not uncommon in Indonesia or anywhere else, but is becoming more prominent online after there was a huge, very, very viral case. I think it was recorded earlier in the week or maybe towards the end of last week of a trans woman in Bogor being sort of pounced upon by a bunch of men throwing things and sort of just chasing her around. And
Hmm.
it happened in Palu as well a couple of days before. So it seems to be recorded specifically for social media, which is what's really disturbing. Like it's already a
Oh,
disgusting thing to be doing, but then you're doing it as a way of making content. I don't know. And it
uh, how does it look? I haven't seen this. So is it
Oh, it's
staged?
really it's awful,
Awfully.
like, the one that I've seen, and I think it's the Bogor one, I'm certain it's the Bogor one, it begins with a couple of fellas filming each other, just sort of hooning around the streets of Bogor on bikes, and then they come across a trans woman and start throwing things at her and chasing her around, little alleyways and things like that, and it's really, really scary stuff, like, that's a
Yeah.
scary thing to be doing, and it gets very violent very quickly,
Oh,
um, and it's I don't know, I find it really disturbing because we're seeing, as we talked about with, Dede Otomo, a really sharp increase in homophobia in Indonesia currently, but that's also paired with a really sharp increase in transphobia online everywhere, and I think this sort of thing is the combination of 2 that is heading somewhere really, really dark. I think it's, going to be, yeah, a bit of a trend for a while, which is very disturbing. Friend of the podcast, Usman Hamid, he's for Amnesty International, has been talking a lot about it. And
oh,
he says that there's been at least 3 attacks in Bogor itself, let alone the rest of the country, in the last few weeks, targeting up to 10 trans women, which I think just sort of speaks to the scale of this. And
right.
he's said it's straight up persecution. It's persecuting trans women, which is yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and there's no repercussions, right? So there's a air of impunity, presumably.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, so Usman, he's been doing a lot of sort of pressuring the police. Like, what's going to happen now? Like, are you going to find these guys? Why aren't arrests happening? And so far, nothing's really happening. And what scares me is that it's being shared super widely. And as Stephen pointed out, while we were chatting about it, in the past, you'd see sort of a real pushback against this sort of homophobia online, at least, even if it's not in the community
Oh,
itself, and that's not happening this time. There's,
huh.
people that would already identify as LGBT or allies or whatever, they're pushing back, but not
Yeah.
this broad sort of, "I'm disturbed by this,"
Yeah.
sort of pushback, which is very scary to me.
Or lack thereof, lack of pushback.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the platforms, are they taking down the content?
It's very much video, so I think it's yeah, begins on TikTok and Instagram, of course, and then finds its way to Twitter, where it finds the worst of the worst.
Oh, I
But
see.
Instagram seems to be a bit of an organizing hub for these. Like, seems like a bit of a networks going on of homophobia, mm, sort of organized homophobic accounts that have been very localized. So you'll have one for Bogor and you'll have one for Makassar and you'll have one for all over the country with the same naming, same branding, but just local chapters, which says to me that there's might be a bit of money behind something. Um, I think it's still probably a bit too early to say there, but that's definitely something to keep an eye on because that is a very scary thing that I haven't seen before. Like we've definitely seen homophobia like this, but not this sort of organized online um, to this extent.
Yeah. I wonder if there's a pattern involved, and that's kind of a giveaway that it's
Yeah.
some kind of agenda. Which then you got to ask what the motive is, and um, it's always useful to have a scapegoat.
That's it. And I've been thinking so much about what Data said about the sort of conversation that has been happening with the cabinet secretary Teddy, and how much of that is political. And talking about homophobia around Teddy is very much coming from the political Islam wing of the right wing. And I thought about that so much because I wonder if we're starting to see this sort of not focus so much just on these prominent figures and start becoming
Mm.
a more of a community issue.
Yeah, or I mean, they could go hand in hand too. I mean, this could be
Yeah.
something that's designed to provoke the government into taking a stance, and then link that with
Mm.
criticism of the government for the things that Amin Rice was on about
Yeah.
cabinet
Ac
secretary
Actually, that's a really good point. Coordinating what's the Israel's thing? Coordinating Minister of Human Rights
law.
Law, and
Yeah,
yeah, he
exactly.
came out the other day and said, "We gotta do something about LGBT. They're not a military threat, but it is a national threat." Like, oh
Oh yes, yes, yeah.
god, so
Oh, there you
yeah.
go.
I think here we go, yeah, it's beginning.
Yeah. Yusril is always thinking ahead, if you will.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good talking to you, EC. We'll wrap it up there
Yeah, a
for
bit of a
now.
short one this week. Let's see what, I don't know, next week brings us. Is there anything ahead that you're watching for?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's the national holidays coming up. Mordeka.
Mm.
Still a month away, but in the prelude to that, there's going to be budget deliberations and the final days of the uh, parliamentary year, and
Yeah.
typically it's when protesters come out on the streets as well. So,
True, very true. Yeah.
mm.
So we'll see what happens there. All right. Love a good Merdeka protest. So it's just such a good look, isn't it? The red and white. Love it.
Yeah. I guess so. Yeah, there's no shortage of dynamics nowadays. That's for sure. It's
Mm.
the president's under a lot of pressure with the currency having dropped 7% this year and 17% since he took office, and
Yeah.
inflation
There you go.
pressure.
There's your Merdeka. 17% down. That's good.
Yeah, that's right. It's wasn't the number he was going for, but yeah, it adds up to, well, yeah, if you take the 1 and take the 7, it adds up to 8, and that's his favorite number. So yeah, so maybe they'll try to ramp the currency between now and then to get it back to 16.
Yep. Yep.
16%. Okay, thanks, EC.
All right. See you next
But
week, Kevin.
all right, see you then.
And that's the pod. Our editor is Stephen Hendogo. Music by Blue Dot Sessions. To get a free trial of Kevin's newsletter, head to reformasi.info and check my newsletter, Diary Mullet Care Mullet, at diarymullet.substack.com. I'm Erin Cook. We'll see you next week.